You want me to put that on my Tudor?
Handling Harry, gritted teeth. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Cast your mind back, if you will, to your childhood. Do you recall how your parents or parent organised you? Some of you may say, well, I had the misfortune of having a narcissist as a parent, and therefore my experience was different, H.G. Okay. But for many, it was your parent that organised you, got you up in the morning, made breakfast for you, handed you your clothes, dressed you when you were really little, popped your coat on with your mittens on a bit of elastic so you didn't lose them, packed you off to school, where you perhaps had a packed lunch that had been made for you. You were picked up from school, later walking home, played, had your tea made for you, and then perhaps the parent, if you were fortunate enough, would play with you a while, and then a bath was run for you, and you were organised for bed and popped in with a bedtime story, and off you went to the land of Nod. Everything was essentially done for you. You were told where to go. You were instructed as to how you ought to behave. If you started misbehaving, you would be told off. You were steered. And that was because you were a child finding your way in the world. In effect, your parent acted as a handler, but, save for the unlucky ones, they did so in a caring manner governed by their emotional empathy. Harry finds himself handled as an adult by a woman who has become, in effect, his mother. He's bought into that as a consequence of her manipulations at duplicating Diana, but she treats him like a little boy. She does this because she believes that she knows what is best for Harry. She does this driven by her narcissism, which necessitates that she controls him. He is the intimate partner primary source, and he attained that status because her narcissism identified that he was the easiest individual to control that would provide lots of fuel, character traits, and residual benefits. Rather than behave in a truly supportive manner as a spouse who actually loves the other half, and thus governed by emotional empathy behaves in such a fashion, Harry's wife is occasioned to believe that she loves her husband because that's what her narcissism causes her to believe in order to make her control him. And thus, all of these handsy gestures that she engages in, she believes that she's doing it because it's affection. But she's a narcissist, and therefore it can't be done through the application of affection, but it's actually her narcissism making her believe that's what she's doing so that she then controls him. We've seen where she's barged him out of the way, where she stepped in front of him, where she utilizes the grip of doom to control him, to lead him. And increasingly, we have seen the application of a hand on his back to steer him, a patting on the arm or on the chest, almost like handling a small child. Now, some might think, well, Harry behaves like one with his petulance and so forth. Well, you may well be right about that. But in respect of Harry's wife, she is very much his handler. She treats him this way because her narcissism dictates that she does. And we're going to see a couple of further examples by way of video evidence that shows this handling of Harry in action. But it also provides evidence of how her handling of him is done with gritted teeth. Both instances come from the recent Harry's Wife games, and the first instance is what every narcissist hates: somebody else's birthday. Here comes the footage.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Harry. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
it is. It's Harry's birthday, and in recognition of that, as him being patron of the Invictus Games, now the Harry's Wife Games, people sing happy birthday to him. Harry's wife hates this, because it's about him and not her. Her narcissism needs to do something about it. And it opts for having her join in and attempt to utilize Harry as an extension of her. You'll notice that because she's not actually invested, she's clapping out of time, something she does regularly because she's not actually interested in what's going on or singing happy birthday to her husband, because it's not about her and it's actually wounding her. Her ignited fury will be rising, as I've explained in separate videos, but the facade management must do its very best to keep it in check. And in this instance, we see the strain between the two, not as a consequence of the jutting jaw, but the fact of the rictus grin, and she's grinning with gritted teeth. That in actual fact, it isn't a natural smile, and that the fury is trying to come out to cause her to scream, "You didn't do this for my birthday!" Or, "Look at me! I'm the more important one in this relationship! He's a fuckwit!" But of course, the facade cannot have that happen, because if it did, she would lose control of hundreds of tertiary sources around her and present a problem to the millions that would then witness the event across social media and mainstream media. Accordingly, the facade must keep that ignited fury in check, and it does, but you can see that it's straining because there's the gritted teeth. She's wounded by everybody singing to Harry. Her narcissism must do something about it. She can't stand up and yell, as I've just explained, so she can't directly influence the audience. She's got nobody to turn to and whisper, "Well, they didn't do this for me, did they?" Or, "God, look at him, drinking it all in. He loves it, doesn't he?" She can't smear Harry or the crowd in some way to a flunky. That option isn't available. So what she has to do is she has to sit and soak it up, but then attempt to make it all about her by establishing in front of the crowd, within her deluded mind, "He's mine, and because you're singing to him, in effect you're actually singing to me." How does she achieve this? She handles Harry. Harry is 39 years old and looks in pretty rude health. It doesn't seem to me that he has any difficulty getting up from a chair. But immediately, as he does so to acknowledge the crowd's good wishes towards him, what does Harry's wife do? In a somewhat patronising manner, puts her hands on him as if to say, "Here you are, I'll help you get up, old man." Or, "I'll push you up, little boy, don't be shy." But what she's actually doing is she's handling Harry and asserting control over him, of course, is signalling to the audience, "He's mine, you're singing to him, which means you're actually singing to me." And that subconsciously gives her the control. If you think about it, ordinarily in a relationship, you just wouldn't behave that way, would you? You wouldn't push your spouse up in such a manner. You'd let them get up themselves. You'd clap in time and sing along and be pleased for them that they're getting the birthday wishes. But once again, the necessity of the needs of her narcissism demonstrates the incongruous reaction that she puts forth, and thus you're treated to this display of handling Harry. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.